Hey, veterinary friends. Welcome to the Veterinary Life Coach podcast. As promised, today I have Dr. Lennon Foo back. He is the founder of Amity Veterinary Care. He's a veterinary surgeon, business owner, speaker, and he has authored 3 books. The first one is My Vet for Real, Natural Power, and his new book called Vet for Life. And we wanted to bring you some information from both of our books, Vet for Life and, I keep reaching back here, Love Your Veterinary Life, because we have very similar philosophies, and Lennon comes at it from a little different bent than I do as a life coach, but he's a business coach. And so we're going to talk today about self-care for veterinarians, right, Lennon?
Absolutely.
So welcome to the podcast again.
Thank you very much for
We're
having me
getting
here.
to be best friends.
Excellent.
I think this is maybe like your 6th appearance, right?
Yeah, probably, possibly.
Well, we'll keep doing it because you're in the UK. If people don't know, you're in the UK, I'm in the US, and we love vets everywhere, and we want everyone to have a better life. So
Absolutely.
that's our mission. So let's talk a little bit today about self-care, and I'll just let you start, and I'll jump in when
Cool.
I feel appropriate. I'll try not to interrupt.
Not at all, not at all. I think we're all sort of doing our best to provide value over here. Well, thank you very much for having me here. I think it's probably not unfair to say that we share similar, when I say we, I'm talking profession, share similar statistics across the pond of
Absolutely.
having a high depression rate, high attrition rate, people stop being vets, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, a high suicide rate as well. Okay, personally, I know 4 personal friends who have sort of ended their lives this way already, which is,
4.
yeah, exactly,
Wow.
which is just a bit ridiculous, really.
Yeah, that's
And
insane.
I'm
Wow.
not even claiming to have the answer to that, but certainly it can highlight the importance of self-care
Hmm.
and why it is important in the first place to do that, because we are such a caring profession to be providing care for animals and pet guardians alike, that sometimes the question is, are we as good as providing care for ourselves? So, and that is paramount, because if we are not able to, then we fail to be able to give the value that we want to give. So self-care is certainly important.
Right.
One
It's
of,
really the most important, right?
Mhm. For
Yeah,
me, you can't give others what you do not have yourself. If you can't
exactly.
help yourself, you can't help others. And it's been said somewhere that, the best way to help the poor is not to join them. So, you
That's
want to
true.
sort yourself out really before you can sort of try to sort others out.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest a sort of almost like a myth or a fallacy is that being vets, it becomes your identity. And many people, they will introduce themselves as I'm a vet. And if you have got the letters VET in your email, uh, you probably know exactly what I mean. And certainly I am one of them. So
Right, right.
you've always wanted to be a vet, you finally become a vet and you identify yourself
And you're
as
so
a vet.
proud of it. It's it really is. I can tell you from
Yeah.
somebody that is changing professions, because I did own my hospital and now I'm doing the life coaching thing more, so I'm not practicing as much. That is a hard adjustment. Like I indeed have that identity.
Mm,
And it's hard to let it go.
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when people, like you said, change jobs or they change career or they stop vetting for whatever reason, uh, I suppose for the females, it's very easy when they go on maternity leave and things like that. They almost lose a bit of identity, or they feel they have.
Right.
Or if for even for the more sort of unfortunate to a certain extent, they get struck off or something like that, they stop vetting, or because they can't vet anymore. They really, really have a huge sense of loss.
Hmm.
And I suppose what I'm trying to sort of suggest is that um, you are not just a vet. You're so much more.
Right.
Yes, you may enjoy, no matter how much you love vetting, and vetting is your life. Just remember, it's only a part of your life. So don't really like forget how amazing you are and all the other aspects, embrace those other aspects as well. You're a son, you're a daughter, you're a child, you're a father, you're a spouse, you're a partner, you're a mother. You're also a friend, you're also, a sibling, a sister, or a brother. You're so much more than just being a vet. And certainly we should learn how to live our life such that we are balancing it quite well with all the other aspects of our life, because it's not just being a vet. And I've seen many, many vets, they literally work themselves to the ground. They read nothing but vet books, and I'm one of them before. They don't keep in touch with anything else, it's just vet CPDs, and all the CPDs are all about the newest development of what new drug, what new procedure. My argument, or rather my suggestion, would be however many hours you want to spend on that, you have to spend on the same amount of time onto something that's even more important, which is yourself, really. So if
Right.
you put 35 hours of CPD a year, my question is, do you complete 35 CPD, 35 hours of CPD a year on learning how to love yourself, take care of yourself, that sort of thing, which is
Yeah.
just as important.
So important.
And in fact, I would certainly argue there should be 35 hours a week or 35 hours a month, not a year, that you should be
Right.
spending how to improve yourself as a person better, not just as a clinical vet.
Right.
And because it is that important, and you can't delegate that to anybody, it's one of those things. So what does self-care really means, really? Literally, as the name suggests, is caring for yourself, not for other people, but actually for yourself, so that you can care more for other people. You
Right.
cannot give what you do not have.
Right.
If you want to give compassion, how much compassion are you giving? To that, ask yourself that question to other people, and ask yourself, are you giving yourself the same amount of compassion?
And
If you want to forgive other
forgiveness.
people, yep,
Mhm.
how much are you able to forgive other people? More importantly, how much are you able to forgive yourself? If
Mhm.
you're not able to forgive yourself well, how can you truthfully say that you understand forgiveness when you forgive other people, if you can't do it for yourself?
Right.
And it's the same for love as well. You say, yeah, I love you, I love you, I love you, all those sort of things to other people. The question is, how much do you say the same to yourself? If you do not know how to love yourself, how can you really claim that you know how to love other people?
Right.
So these are all like real things that is interesting and worthwhile to ponder upon. That because you want to love other people, because you want to forgive other people, because you want to be compassionate to other people, you have to learn all this for yourself first, so you can give the real thing, and more importantly, you can give it with abundance and not with scarcity, and not giving out so much until you burn out because you simply did not. Like I said, you cannot give what you do not have. You're
Right.
just giving too
Right.
much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm talking about. So how do you love yourself? So just understanding yourself, self-mastery is a very, very interesting journey. It is very, very rewarding as well. And there are usually only two mistakes to self-mastery. One is not starting the journey. The second is not going all the way.
Okay.
So,
Do
yeah,
you think it ever finishes? Like when you say
of
all the
course not.
way, like are you ever
No, all the
done
way.
developing? Because I don't think so. I mean,
No,
I've always kind of
no,
been into
yeah,
that, and that's how I ended up in life coaching because I was like, this is kind of what I
yeah,
love,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
it's still a journey, right? Like I haven't arrived.
if you look at any journeys, just use a simple one for us, vet medicine. We'll never ever get there. We can
Right.
learn about diabetes. There's always going to be something new. So just like that, life self-mastery you never it's not about getting there. It's just about the journey itself.
Yes.
It's what you do on a daily basis. You are never there. You're always getting there, if you see what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
we'll
always
never ever get
working
there.
and it's very rewarding though, because you're constantly learning about yourself.
Exactly. So that's the whole beauty of life, is has given you this opportunity of time. And
Right.
some people don't even have that.
Right.
To actually, okay, you have time. Literally, you all have 24 hours a day. How do you spend it? How much time do you spend on vetting? How much time do you spend on yourself? How much time do you spend on other things? This is the universal credit, the universal currency that we all have. No matter how old you are, how rich you are, how young you are, male, female, handicapped or not, black, white,
doesn't it?
Chinese, yellow, it doesn't really matter. Everywhere is 24 hours. So how do you use that? And if you're investing in vet medicine, great. We all love being vets. My question is that, are you investing the same in yourself? Because that is just as important.
Yeah.
Um,
And many of us aren't,
mhm. We,
especially
no,
the working
we,
mothers and the working fathers that have little children. And like, it's such a cycle of time that is taken away from you. Yeah. But you
first
still
of
have to
all,
find a way.
the concept isn't even known. Not many people understand what do you mean self-care? I haven't got time for self-care. You
Right.
know,
Right.
the,
Yeah.
the, the
That's what we
concept
think,
isn't even
right? I
known,
gotta make
much
time
less
for that.
taught. Yeah.
Hmm.
So if you're not even aware of it, much less understand about it, how can we ever be good at it? So,
Right.
so until this notion is made more obvious, more it's okay to take a break rather than, fight, 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 push, push, push in this particular society of ours. It's okay to actually be yourself. We got to remind ourselves we're called human beings, not human doings. We should be being rather than just doing, doing, doing. You
That's
know,
true. Yeah.
and until you're actually aware of this particular need or this concept for self-care, you wouldn't even learn about it, much less excel in it. So
Yeah.
it's,
And if you're one of those chronic doers, like I kind of am, some of that want to be doing all the time is you trying to run away from that anxiety, and like that's your defense mechanism is overdoing, because that's what I do. I'm like, well, if I start feeling anxious, I just do more, do more, do more.
yeah.
And that's not solving anything. So my coach challenged me to just not do. So part of my self-care is just to sit sometimes. And
Mhm.
even though I'm feeling like I need to do like 100 things,
Mhm.
no, you have to care for that part of you that's
Mhm.
fearful of not constantly being in motion.
Mhm.
And so that's part of it as well, is understanding what your defense mechanism is and how you deal with,
Yeah.
all the stress.
I just like to offer like two little simple tips really. One is understand the whole idea that we have got rules inside, internal rules that we made ourselves, rules that make us happy, rules that make us upset. Okay.
Mhm.
When somebody says so and so, you get upset because that's one of the rules. Or when somebody says so and so, you get happy. Then
Right,
because there's no rules. It's like if you cook a fantastic, amazing Christmas dinner, one person says the turkey is too salty or the turkey is a bit burnt, immediately get, oh, okay, upset. It's like, but that's a rule that we have in our head. If somebody complains, we didn't do a good job.
right,
Yeah.
right,
But that's the rule that we put ourselves because nobody else
correct.
gave us the rule.
Yeah, it's a
So
thought, right?
the point being is most people have more rules in their head that makes them upset than makes them happy.
Mm,
So
yes,
be sure to have a lot of rules that allow you to be happy and not so many that can upset you because
yes.
those are not real. Those are just internal rules you made yourself.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's that
understand
Chihuahua
them.
brain that I talk about. It's that Chihuahua brain is always fearful and always negative and always yakking at you, all that
Mhm.
negativity, right? Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
be onto it.
And the second thing is that it's something quite useful and handy as well to actually write down, like list out things that actually make you happy.
Mm,
And the list should be very, very long because the more you can find, the better it is. You can use it in three different ways. Okay,
I love that.
the first way is that if you are upset yourself, then you can, and because when we get upset, our brain goes into a fuzz. You cannot think clearly. Because you've written it, you can go to that list and start
Mm,
doing things or thinking things or whatever you put on the list that makes you happy to change your state of mind almost as quick as possible. It doesn't change anything apart from your
no,
state of. It doesn't change the
right,
situation, it doesn't change the environment, it doesn't change anything else except you change your internal environment and your state of mind.
right.
Okay, so that is also so the first reason is because it makes it easy for you to change your own state. Okay. The second reason is that when you look at it, sometimes you can also update the list to be aware of what is making you happy, what is not. And sometimes from then you can find further meanings to why it makes you happy in the first place. And that can be quite useful. And the last reason, which is I find it very, very useful, you can pass this list to your partner
Mm,
so that when you're upset, They don't have to struggle. Oh my goodness, you're upset. And they will try to make you happy, but they haven't got the list, so they try all sort of things, and you say, "Stop pissing me off.
That don't
You're
work.
not helping." Exactly. So you can help them by giving them your list to say that this is what makes me happy. If they know it, you're empowering them to help you, to help them, and helping everybody. But
Oh,
without the
wow. That's an
list, it's
amazing
so,
idea. Yeah.
isn't it? So how many people actually write down the things that makes them happy so they can use it themselves and also
Mhm.
for their partner, so the partner will stop panicking, who is doing the best, having the best intentions and making the best effort to make you happy, but without knowing how.
Yeah, it makes
Imagine
me
how.
happy if you pick up your clothes. It makes me happy if the sink is clean, right? Like give them a list. I love
Exactly.
that.
Or just flip it the other way around. What about your partner? If your partner is upset, do you know exactly what to do to help him or her?
Yeah,
If you
right?
don't, wouldn't it be helpful if they told you, listen, when I'm upset, this is what I like you to do?
Right.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for the very clear instruction. Makes my job much
Yeah,
easier.
it kind of
Because
goes
I keep
back to the
guessing.
communication conversation we had, right? Is
Mhm.
understanding what the other person needs. Yeah,
Yep.
I love that.
So that is self-care really. And
Right.
and there's obviously a lot of aspect to it, but I think I just want to throw the idea, or we just want to throw the idea that there's such a thing. It's important. Take a look at it. Self-mastery is important as well, as
Right.
important as learning all the different treatment options for diabetes, mellitus in cats. So, it is just as important. And if you're
Yeah.
aware of it, then you can start reading about it, learning about it. There's plenty of, forum out there. Julie yourself, you're a trained certified coach to be giving advices like this. And it is worth the journey. It changes things. And with that
So
in mind,
much. So
perhaps
much. Right.
we can reduce the amount of depression, the amount of attrition, people stop being vets. If they have, if they understand why they're doing what they're doing in the first place. So that is very, very important. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
I
probably
think a lot of times when we think of self-care, we think that you have to be meditating every day and you
Mhm.
have to be doing yoga every day. Like that's like the typical what everyone says. But I would like to offer that self-care can be something as simple as just learning about yourself, reading a book that helps you learn more about yourself. Like there's, even going out and riding your bike or taking a walk or spending a few minutes with your kids or your husband or your dog or like that is all self-care
Yep.
or setting boundaries.
Mhm.
That's self-care.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when we say that word self-care, everybody's like, oh, well, I don't have time,
Hmm.
but even for me, just the challenge of sitting still for 5 minutes
Hmm.
is a meditation. Even if I'm not meditating, it's like, okay, you have to sit still and you have to get calm because right now you feel like you have to do 100 things and you don't. Like the world's not going to end if you don't get the laundry done. The world's not going to end
Yeah.
if whatever it is that's on your mind. So I think that in and of itself is self-care.
I think the irony of it is it's funny when you say it, people say that I haven't got time for self-care. Usually are the people who need the most.
Absolutely. Right. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah. So,
I recently I read this book with my daughter that was really awesome. And I think I might have talked about it one other time on the podcast, but it's called The Artist Way. And it's an older book, but the premise is that we all have an artist inside of us
mhm.
that we don't nurture.
Mhm.
And so whatever that means to you, if you're a painter or if you're a singer, or like whatever kind of artsy thing, and it doesn't have to be anything complicated, but the challenge is that you need to like write more so you can learn about yourself and then actually take time every week to do
Mhm.
something that's totally just not necessarily useless, but just kind of like an art thing. Like I built a Lego one day. I bought a Lego set that was flowers because I love orchids. And I just sat there and built this Lego set and it was so healing. It didn't take long, it took me maybe
Mhm.
30 minutes, but I was like, oh, and so that's kind of what this book was about is like learning
Mhm.
about what you like to do and then taking that even a little bit of time once a week to do it. And maybe something you've never tried before.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that's self-care.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, I'd like to share two little nuggets for you. One is
Yes.
using the whole concept of people say, okay, what should I do? What to help self-care and things like that. And so just using, well, we all are familiar with the term GPS,
Hmm. Hmm.
using a GPS.
Yeah.
So for us internally, for your self-care or your self-mastery, how we're going to call it, if you use joy as a GPS, it can be quite
Okay.
powerful. So do pursuits that enriches you, that makes you joyful. Be in places that makes you feel alive.
Joy.
Be
Yeah.
around people who makes you feel good. Just using joy as a GPS, you'll find it to be quite powerful. So people, pursuits, places, three different
Mm.
things.
Yeah, I love
Where
that.
you're gonna be, what you're gonna do, who you're gonna be with. If you're using joy, that probably help you quite a lot. And
Oh, absolutely.
the second little nugget which I'd like to share is like, when you're starting your journey, which I highly, highly suggest that you do, you can document it in a journal. And most people, they don't keep a journal because it's too troublesome. They can't do it. They just cannot be, but they don't see the point.
Right.
However, suggestion to you is write your journey for your children, not for you. Address it to your children.
Right.
Well, it can accomplish three main things among others. One, you are able to document a journey of your own. You can go back and see, but because it's not for you, most people they do more things for other people than they do for themselves. It's much easier to do it rather than thinking it's for me, it's for somebody else. You'll feel more
Right.
obliged to do so. The second thing is that you can actually share your lessons with your children. Okay, so that whatever life lessons you're going through, they will probably go through themselves as well. So, you might as well share your own knowledge in that. And the last but not least is that is your legacy. And touch wood, should anything happen to you,
Right.
that is one way of your children learning about your life,
Yes.
going through photographs and things like that.
Yeah.
So just for this particular purpose, I've started writing for my children about 3 years ago, once a week, just
Yeah.
documenting my own journey
Yeah. It
and just
doesn't have to be every day. Yeah.
no, no. And because you're writing, the whole idea of writing for someone, it is much easier to motivate yourself because it's not for yourself. Because we usually do more things for other people than do for ourselves. So make
Right.
sure
Right.
if you haven't got
Yeah.
a child, write it for any your nephew or niece or any younger person.
Yeah. If you don't have children, you're writing it
Yeah,
for someone else. Yeah.
yeah. So that's a suggestion. Yeah.
That's amazing. I like that idea because journaling, when I suggest it to people, they're like, I don't like to journal. And if you're like me that struggle to write in detail, like that's something that I have to work at, it's hard to journal because you feel like you're writing the same thing every day, right? And it's okay because if you keep doing it, it gets easier.
Exactly. Exactly. Especially if you are, like I said, doing it for somebody else. And you're just documenting your own journey, really.
Right, right. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else to say about that, I think we covered most of our points, right? But I love this. I'm sure we'll do this again. So if any of you out there really enjoy our conversations, send me an email at jacapeldvm@gmail.com and let me know that you like Lennon on the podcast, and I'll convince him to come back again. And don't forget to buy our books on Amazon and read them. And
Only if you feel it helps. Only if you feel it helps.
right, right. If it's part of your self-care, right? That's what we want. So, all right. Any last words? Anything else we missed?
All good.
All
It's a
right,
beautiful
everybody.
profession. Let's go rock it.
Yeah, this is Dr. Lennon Foo, and he is the founder of Amity Veterinary Care. And I appreciate you being here.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me here, Julie.
Have a beautiful week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.